I'm gonna let that marinate. Okay, so it says, uh, and it's back in the news this week as riders in Baltimore were tagged as thugs. Even the cities. Okay, so it may not be. It may be a surprise that the word originates far away in India. As far as I can tell, this is a quote. Thug goes back to the 14th century, and these thugs are actually practitioners of worship. When they kill people, it is a form of worship to this goddess, Kali. Is this a coincidence? Do you believe in coincidences? It says Megan, well, I said that. Megan didn't say that. Megan Garber, who traced the word's origin for a story in the Atlantic. There was a gang of criminals known as the Thuggy. Okay, the Thuggy. Two G's and two E's. Garber says the thugs were a huge criminal network that operated all around India's main roads. They would basically befriend travelers along the roads, gain the travelers' trust, she says, and then they would murder them. Usually by strangulation, yeah, they're pretty clear on that, and steal their valuables. It was all very violent. Mark Twain was one of the first Americans, okay, can't get any more American than Mark Twain, was one of the first Americans to report on the group. Imagine that, Mark Twain. Observations about the thugs appeared in his book, Following the Equator, A Journey Around the World, published in 1897. Y'all got that? The book started the steady rise of, in exclamation points, quotations, thug in popularity in 1897, and usage in American English. In the UK, the thugs were much better known. Oh, they were. Thanks to British colonial rule. Oh, yeah, in India. Okay, yeah. For you guys who are really good at history. So it says Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, remember her, used the word decades ago with relative frequency. Oh, look at you, Margaret Thatcher. She gone, right? Thugs were everyone from unruly soccer fans to people involved in race riots. Garber says the word thug actually rebounded in American popular culture, thanks in regard to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Look at that. The Temple of Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. There was a plot line that involved kidnapping by the way of thugs, she says. A lot of Indian Americans actually protested the portrayal of the thugs in that movie. I didn't know that. But that sort of brought it back into the cultural presence. Again, you see how they cultural presence. Yeah, you got that? Then hip hop, hello, took the word. Tupac Shakur had it tattooed, okay, onto his body. All right. And Cleveland's, that's what I think, the Bone Thugs and Harmony. Okay, Bone Thugs and Harmony, exactly. Sent the word into cars, okay, and living rooms across the country. In this conception of the word, Garber writes thugs are both victims and agents of injustice. Oh, wow. And they are both the products and producers of violence and mayhem and outrage. She also she's also been listening to how people have been using the word in the Baltimore riots. It says, it's this very effective way of suggesting that the people who are doing the rioting and who are being called thugs don't actually have a right to their outrage, she says. This partly why there's widespread disgust in African American community over its use. Just take the response Baltimore Councilman Carl Stokes, gave to CNN's Aaron Burnett over the word. It says, it's not the right word to call our children thugs, Mr. Stokes said. These are children who have been set aside, marginalized, who have not been engaged by us. Oh, okay. But how does that justify what they did? Miss Barnett said. That's a sense of right and wrong. They know it's wrong to steal and burn down a CVS, an old person's home. I mean, come on. Come on, just call them the N-word ninjas. Just call them ninjas. Mr. Stokes said, no, we don't have to call them by names such as that. Oh, okay. You wouldn't call your child a thug if they should do something that would not be what you expect them to do. Gerber, okay, isn't surprised the word has become so loaded. In some sense, the history of language is about people trying to wield power over other people, she says. And so this is just one more example of that strife and effort. All right, so welcome back. So the last thing that we're going to look at in this particular episode is something that I actually, when I looked up the cult of Kali, something from Time magazine, time.com, and it was published in 2002. It looks like July, to be exact. It says, Killing for Mother Kali. Now, this doesn't seem like something from back in the day, but as we already know, or we should already know, is that even though we think that certain things, like we talked about this, were antiquated, fictional, you know, there's still people that engage in these things, these cults, whether we see it, whether we're aware of it or not, even if we think it was back in the day. Okay, so it says here, this is the impression that I get. So it says, for the magic to work, the killing had to be done just right. If the goddess were to grant this particular individual, Kandu, okay, Kamar, the awesome powers he expected from a virgin's death. Yes, we're still killing virgins. Can find them. The victim had to be willing, had to know what was happening, watch the knife, and not stop it. But even tranquilizers couldn't lull it's a 15-year-old, oh my God, 15-year-old girl to her fate. In his polite confession, oh my God, Kamar says his wife, okay, oh my God, Manju. What? Oh my God, hold on, let me get this right. In his police confession, Kamar says his wife, daughter, and 3 accomplices had to gag this young lady, the 15-year-old, and pin her down. Doesn't sound like it was willing. On the earthen floor. I'm not a genius, but it doesn't seem like she was willing. Floor before the shrine. Okay, the shrine. It's 2002 now when this was published. Okay, I know we're in 2024, but just Okay, in a ritual order, Kamar wafted incense over her. Then he tore her clothes. Okay, I'm not going to read the other stuff. He sprinkled her with holy water, imagine that, from the Ganges, and rubbed her with cooking fat. This is really depraved. Then he started to chant mantras to the mother goddess Kali. Oh, and then he started to dismember her. Oh my God. Oh, this is horrible. And he put it in front of the shrine, and he had an idol there and a photograph of this goddess Kali. Police say that there was so much blood on the walls, and she died in minutes. That is so horrible. It says human sacrifice has always been an anomaly in India. It says even 200 years ago, when a boy was killed every day, a boy was killed every day at a Kali temple in Calcutta. Okay, blood cults were at odds with the benign Hindu spiritualism that celebrates abstinence and vegetarianism. Okay, but Kali is different, a very ferocious slayer of evil. In Hindu mythology, the goddess is said to have an insatiable appetite for blood. So that's what we learn in the other mythology vault. The images, the different depictions of her being covered in blood and having skulls and all this other stuff. It's death. With the law on killing people more strictly enforced today, okay, it says ersatz substitutes now stand in for humans when sacrificing